Hello, world, and welcome to our live stream. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Garrett.
And tonight we're joined by Luke Stone from Luke Stone Studio, is here to tell us all about his crowdfunding campaign, Hybrids: The Killing Field, live on Indiegogo. Hey, Luke, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me tonight.
Well, glad to have you. We're doing pretty good. I'm a little bit sick, so I might be somewhat low energy. And Garrett has been, inundated with projects in the last 2 hours, so I don't know how you feel. You look like you've been through it. Anyway, before we get into the comic book, why don't we get to know you a little bit better? First off, where are you from?
Well, I am from Jacksonville, Florida, originally from Indiana, but I've been in Jacksonville long enough now to say I'm from Jacksonville. So, yeah.
Cool. We are East Coast, but I like Florida. So, What got you into comic books? Who was your first love?
Well, I got to tell you, I've been into comics probably since about 5 years old. I really enjoyed drawing. My mom and dad used to hang out at this little place called little diner called Breakfast House, and they would stay there till 3 o'clock in the morning, hang out with their friends. And in order to keep this little ADHD kid occupied, they would throw me pens and paper, and I would draw. And I really got into it. And then about 5 years old, I found out about He-Man. Man, if I got hooked on He-Man, dude. I would wake up at 5 a.m. just to watch the first running of it, and then watch it every other time that it ran that day, just because I loved it so much. And then one day my dad brought home some comic books. His friend found out that I liked He-Man and said, well, he might like these. It was the Secret Wars run in 1985, Mike Zeck, art, issue number 3, I believe it was, 3 or 4, with Hulk holding up all the, the bricks and all that kind of stuff. And I fell in love with the Hulk right away. So it was...
So we had a very similar experience, you and I. He-Man was the first cartoon character that I fell in love with too. I remember I was in my frequency girl was making these misty eyes at me. I was in I don't know, first grade, kindergarten. I don't remember, but my mom made me a He-Man outfit for Halloween and stuffed socks in cool. like nylon sleeves that were flesh tone colored, so I could be all buff and everything.
That wasn't even the story I was going to tell.
Oh, that wasn't the one.
I was going to tell.
Oh, right. Why didn't you tell me that one?
His mom loved to tell this story about how one day he came home from school and he's like, Mom, I need to know about the Masters of the Universe. I need to know. I need to see. I need to watch it.
You need to tell me about the Master of the Universe.
Okay. And
so she sat me down and tried to explain Catholicism to me.
She got books and was teaching.
Not that one. The other one.
Yeah.
I got really, really furrowed browed on this tiny little kid. At 5 or 6 years old. Not God. He-Man. So
I'll tell you, I got bribed with the action figures. My mom went and purchased every action figure, and if I did my chores for that week, I would get one. And so,
do you remember the Skeletor play set where you would put the slime in the top and then tip it over, and it would come down as ooze? Was that Grayskull or the Skeletor? I don't remember. It's been so long. I remember the smell of that ooze. That I do remember.
I had that skunk, the skunk guy. I can't remember his name.
Oh yeah,
well, I had that guy.
Smelled. I
remember
that.
Triclops.
That dude smelled like a wino peed in the box. That's what that smelled like.
And that was a feature of the toy to be covered by kids.
It was intended to smell like garbage.
It was
so bad.
My toys smelled like strawberries and things.
Dean says, as a child of the 90s, I have little to no love for He-Man. That's okay, Dean. We forgive you for being wrong. We also have Steve Worster in the chat. What is
Stinkor.
up, Steve Stinkor? Was that his
Well,
name?
Yeah, that's
Stinkor, because Steve Worster coming through with the obscure
Thank you,
action figure
Steve.
knowledge. Secret Wars was great. I actually found Secret Wars later in my life after I got into Marvel Comics, and I went back and read some of the earlier stuff, including the Claremont X-Men, because the first stuff that like really sucked me in, besides G.I. Joe comics and like you know Archie and Alf and stuff like that, was
I
was
love G.I.
Jimmy's
Joe. Yeah, I love G.I. Joe, love Ninja Turtles, those kind of things. But it was that
great.
I can trace it all back to that one issue. Man, I wore that thing out trying to draw all those pictures. I got to where I would lay paper over it and try to trace it so I could figure out like how to draw those figures and stuff. And that was my,
Isn't it funny that people who love comics, and this is like almost universally true, people who love comics, you ask them that question, they will tell you the first issue of the first book that they fell in love with because they love comics. And it makes that impression on your soul and in your psyche. You remember that was the book that made me love them. So it's, I'm not saying it's a shibboleth or anything, but like when you ask that question, which was the first book, and they have one right off the top of their head, it's like, okay, you know the feeling of loving comics.
Oh yeah.
What's up?
Steve says, I know 80s toys.
He knows 80s toys. Right on. So you know all about the original Star Wars and the G.I. Joes they didn't have the right rotating limbs that came later when they gave them the fully articulated shoulders and elbows.
Garrett doesn't have a good.
Yeah, Travis
Is he
Gibb
sick? What's a
is
good?
joining us, and he says, Garrett doesn't have a good. Is he sick?
No. Hey, Travis, how's it going? Good to see you. Yeah.
That. Give us the full sentence.
Yeah, I know.
He's
I'm not sure what a good is in terms of being a noun. What's a
Do
good?
you have a
I
good?
don't know. He doesn't have a good look on him.
Yeah, but that's
Does
not
he
a
mean
noun.
cold? Does he mean cold? Or something like that.
I don't know.
So he asked if Garrett is sick. Aaron
Comics
was
mate Dean
actually
is
sick.
tipping his hat. I don't know why he's tipping his hat.
Oh.
Steve Worster? I'm not sure.
No, I think he's, or maybe he's tipping his hat to like say hello.
To Milady? I
said,
don't know.
hey,
All
Comics
right.
Mate.
So we're getting off track, and we let
Give us a
bit
hood.
of time.
Garrett doesn't have a hood.
Doesn't have a hood. Okay.
I'm perfectly
Sorry,
fine with
you
getting
were-
off track. That
Oh,
tends to
because
be-
you're
Usually either has
not wearing
his
your
beanie or
hoodie.
his
Gotcha.
hoodie.
Sorry about that. What were you saying?
I said I'm perfectly fine with getting off track. That tends to be my. Hello, let's hear it for adult ADHD. So
Well,
You'll fit in with us then.
is
Yeah.
that
We often get off track.
is that a crossover hybrids? And it's not the Siamese. It doesn't have a tail. What's in the background there? In your room?
this?
Yeah,
Oh, that's Ion up there.
that's
This is
Ion.
Kieran
Okay.
right here, and then this is Trash Man down here.
So I don't know if you are familiar with Dojo Kun and Dojo Kun comics, but his Siamese characters have the gray skin tight suit and the black gloves. They don't have the sash and they have tails, but from first glance from far away, they have the Ion's posed in that
Yeah,
sort of
she's got
sexy pose.
she's got the purple stripes down her.
Yep.
Yeah, he's also blind.
It's true.
not
I am
have
also blind. I
glasses,
have to wear magnifying glasses on my face to do close-up work on miniatures. All right. So what books do you like these days? Growing up, you liked Secret Wars and Marvel and stuff. Do you have any books you're currently into?
Currently, mostly indie
this
stuff.
on.
I like to grab a hold of indie stuff as much as I can. I do like. I like God's Hand. Anthony Figueroa just put out. That was really good. I'm looking forward to The Embrace. A friend of mine makes. I love Voodoo Nation.
That would be Dean right here, the artist on the
Yeah.
Embrace.
Yeah. I do love Voodoo Nations, but I'm a little biased on that one.
Yeah, you might be. I know Travis
Just
is
a
up in the
little bit,
chat
yeah.
too, right?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
It's a
But yeah,
big love fest
there's
right
a
now.
lot of them. Yeah, there's a lot of them. I love a lot of the stuff from Silverline right now. I like getting involved with some of their stuff. Switchblade was really good. The revive of Cat and Mouse I really like. So, yeah,
Right on.
That's the kind of stuff I'm into
There
right
is
now.
stuff that's really capturing
Yeah.
your fantasy, but it seems like it's mostly stuff you're either directly involved in, stuff that's tangentially related to the things that you're involved in, or at least in the indie scene that you find yourself involved in. Is there anything in what some people might term mainstream comics that is of interest?
nothing new. No, nothing new. I find myself that anything that's like all kind of the main titles these days. I'm just it just seems I swear to all things good and holy, if I see the Waynes get shot in the alley one more time.
I don't care by who or what color they are. I'm just sick of this origin story. Got you.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, who inspired you then? If we're not going to talk about who is currently inspiring you in comics, what classical writers and artists inspired you when you were
Or hell, if there's any artists outside of comics, just illustrators or any kind of arts that you're looking at to kind of like.
Oh, hey, it's Sugar Chris.
Oh, hey, what's up? Chris?
What's going on?
But yeah, what are you looking at to help kind of get your creative juices going?
Definitely the work of Mike Zeck really inspired me growing up. Jack Kirby, George Perez, recently Mike Mignola.
Mike Mignola's cool.
And then that kind of minimalist, real like deep blacks, the contrast and stuff has really been
first time I feel like I saw Mignola, I was like, dude, that's a weird way to draw comics that I didn't know you're allowed to do. You know?
Yeah, and then all the people that did comics in the 90s, that was a really impressionable time for me, born in 1980. So I was a teen in the 90s grabbing these books. And so it was just I was really inspired by a lot of their work. Maybe a little more than I should have.
Pouches,
yeah.
More pouches.
On my bad guy, like I've got this random, like kind of the fodder we call the Heck Trooper. And I stick pouches on them, and I kind of try to do some of the 90s metallic looking guards and stuff like that, just as an homage.
With all the pouches on his belt. Yeah. I mean, you don't have him strapped across his body or on his wrist or anything, so we're not going that crazy on the pouches, but it is a nice little subtle nod. So I grew up at the same time. We're actually the same age. And the 90s was a very impressionable time for us because, we were adolescents. We were in our teenage years. We were feeling our oats and getting interested in things that were ours. And Image were the bad boys of comics at the time. They broke away from the mainstream. They formed their own label. They said, you're not going to tell us how to do it. We're going to be successful and make our own money. And that kind of resonated with a rebellious, 14, 15-year-old getting into comics at the time. So I appreciate that sort of 90s throwback style. It doesn't mean I don't appreciate other styles, but there's some form of nostalgia that's always, a piece that's just going to be wedged in my heart, like a giant shard of glass or something. Not a particularly wonderful metaphor, but, I'm sick.
Yeah. It is what it is.
So why did you decide to start making comic books?
I always wanted to make a comic book. I think as soon as I saw them, I'd been drawing a lot, as a kid, and I wanted to make a comic book. It just was something that was, it sparked, 5-6 years old. I'm drawing stick figure comic books and things like that. When I was 13, 14, I wrote my own comic. It was bad. I didn't know anything about it. And so I tried my best and had a really ugly baby. We gave up on that one. But I can remember going into the local comic shop, and not every local comic shop had a lot of indie stuff, but ours did. One they had a few things where it was kind of not mainstream things, and like I remember picking up
off the top of your head, like what?
Tales from the Aniverse, Cat and Mouse, some of these
Cerebus, Poison Elves, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Specifically, I remember those Arrow and Silverline books, and I thought, these are cool, because there was, Malibu Comics had come out and they had some of those in there and things like that. And it had the cool style. It had all the stuff that I liked about comics. And I got thinking, these guys aren't working for the main two, maybe I would have a shot at making a comic one of these days.
Mo Biggs up in the chat. Hey, brother, good to see you. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for coming also, Frog G, and helping Frequency Girl out with the links. Appreciate both of you stuff.
Those guys are awesome.
Yeah, they really are. We're so lucky to have both of them.
Pack.
Like when the two of them are there. Oh, does Mo have a wrench? Did you wrench him? You need to wrench Mo Biggs.
Yeah. No,
okay,
I did.
good. Just
totally
making
did.
sure.
I saw him
The
said
two,
that he
having
can't
those
get rid
two
of
mods together, it's just, yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice having y'all here with us. Thank you very much. So there's something very special about storytelling through sequential art. There are plenty of ways to tell stories. You can use novels, TVs, movies, spooky stories around the campfire. What made you decide to start making sequential art? I know you said comic books have always been with you, but why tell stories this way?
At first I wasn't really thinking about being a storyteller. It was a kind of a necessary part of doing comics. If I wanted to do comics, I had to have stories to tell. And I had some ideas. I thought, hey, this would be a cool comic, or this would be a cool idea, things like that. And I'd always thought about just passing those off to people who were, quote unquote writers. And then I had, a couple ideas that every time I would pass them off to a writer, they just never really did what I was thinking, And as I got older and had kids, I was thinking more about, storytelling and, getting back to kind of some of those older stories that I had enjoyed so much as a kid and that kind of storytelling. And so I started to try to find more writers that could write. And eventually I just got frustrated with working with writers that really couldn't capture the idea I had in my head, and started working on those scripts myself and working on those stories myself. That way I could, draw things that I liked and have a book that I believed in.
So before you were doing that, did you ever consider anything like just doing illustration work or anything?
I did. My mom really wanted me to be a commercial artist, and I tried some of that stuff. I actually worked as a freelance artist for a while and did some of those things, but it's incredibly boring.
Dude, you almost got me. You almost got me. I'm drinking my coffee here.
Yeah. I mean,
we almost lost the stream because coffee went everywhere.
Well, it's what I'm drawing now. I mean, I would rather draw this kind of stuff than.
You want to show them what you're working on? You want to zoom out for a minute and yeah, there we go. Look at that. Just got to say hi to Jim Cox in the chat. Thanks for coming, my man. And he is absolutely right. It's not a real channel if Mo doesn't have a wrench. So.
Steve.
Oh, Steve Worster said that. My bad.
So Aaron took some cold medicine before. That's why there's some double
I'm here. I
answers in
swear.
the chat.
There's still only one of you.
He also said, "Yeah, we're the East Coast, but we like Florida." I'm pretty sure he meant
Florida's on the East Coast.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you meant Northeast.
Yeah, this isn't even me drunk. This is just me on cold meds.
It's all right.
So, do you have any formal education in literature or entertainment? Any professional experience as a writer or artist?
I did go to school to be a graphic designer and to do that kind of stuff.
Nice.
So I do have that. Like I said, I did work as not necessarily as a commercial artist, but as a freelance graphic designer.
So what were you doing for graphic design? You're just doing kind of like logos or like just kind of like ad pages and stuff, or?
Yeah, all that really boring stuff.
Yeah.
None of the fun stuff. Anytime I'd want, sometimes it was like, oh, well, we just need this product displayed nice on our website. And I'm like, okay, well, we can do that.
Yeah.
And sometimes they would be like, oh, well, let's do this logo. And they would give me some, kind of direction. And I'm like, oh, this would be so cool if we did this. And, and then they didn't want to do that. They like turned down everything. Like all the fun stuff. There's always just like this really boring stuff. And I did it, and I sometimes still do it when I need money. But I would much rather work on some kind of an illustration. I've done some kids book illustration and stuff. That's not as fun, but it's better than wedding invitations.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Lasers in children's books, even though there should be.
I mean, some children's books
have lasers. How'd you learn to do sequentials? This is always an interesting question for me as a writer.
Yeah, it's a lot harder than you think.
Yeah, I know.
you can draw a pinup, right? And you think, hey, I can do a cover, I can do sequentials. And then you realize after you do one, you can't. It's I was so bad. Like, so most people just know my main books and a couple of the ones that I did before this one. There was probably 5 or 6 books that I did prior to 2015, 2016 that I don't tell anyone about because they were just so bad. I mean,
Go find them.
I will tell you they don't exist. If you're like, hey, is this you? Is this
That's some other guy named Luke
Some
Stone.
other Luke
some
Stone,
other
yeah.
dude? Yeah. See how bad a sequential is? That was definitely not me. In order to learn, I did a few things. I studied, I looked up every podcast, every bit of website information I could find. I bought books that would kind of lead me in the right direction. I looked at all of the sequential art from all of the people that I really liked, and just tried to get better, find inspiration in that. And then I even got to the point to where I would work with, in order to keep up with process, I would find people that did layouts that I like, whether I like their art or not, didn't matter. If I liked their layouts, and then I would work with them. I'd say, hey, do some layouts for me. And then, we would work out how the sequential and the storytelling goes. And then the more I did, the more you practice, the better you get, so.
Mo, are you talking about the one that does the good sequentials or the bad sequentials and no longer know who I'm talking to? Mo made a joke, and my joke wasn't as funny. So you're that rare breed of versatile creator who's both writer and artist. Which side do you prefer? I know that they're fundamentally entwined, and I'm not looking for like the philosophical answer.
No,
art and right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually totally get what you're saying. I used to consider myself an artist that wrote comics, and then I considered myself I consider myself more a writer who draws. So
like that, because you're drawing right now.
I'm drawing right now. So this is a couple pages. We're adding a couple pages to the issue 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is issue 3. I'm adding a new a little extra fight scene into that.
Your work is so much better than it used to be.
I know, isn't it? That's why we're remastering those books.
Yeah, I was actually that's something I want to talk about later. I don't want to get ahead of myself. So you're an artist you're a writer that draws.
Yeah.
So for you, really, the story and the character development is kind of the heart of the comic book you're writing, and the art is how you tell that story. Without the art, you wouldn't be able to bring it to life, and it wouldn't
100%.
be as...
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I know where you're at. Great. You've got prior experience in comics and have at least 3 campaigns under your belt and a whole bunch of books we're not even going to talk about. How and when did you really get your start? What do you consider to be your first book professionally, and how did that go?
Or at least, which is the first book you'll tell people about?
Yeah. Right.
Okay, the first book I'll tell people about was a story called Worst Day Ever. It was a rom-com.
Romantic zombie comedy?
That exactly, you got it.
Right.
So very few people get that right off the bat.
Well, no, the one with Romeo and Juliet, except he's a zombie. That's the one I thought of.
Yeah, kind of like what was the name of that? Warm Bodies.
No. Romeo and Juliet.
That one. Was it Pride and Prejudice and Zombies?
That
you know what I'm talking about, where he's like, and she's like talking to him, and he's like, Arr!
Oh yes, that description just narrowed it right down for me.
He lives in a plane.
That's Warm Bodies. I think you're talking
yes.
about.
Warm Bodies. Yes, Luke
Yep.
Stone, you're the man.
It's
not a warm body. He's a
I didn't
dead
realize you were
body.
talking about a movie at first.
Yeah. Well, Love brought him back. But that's not what the book was about. It wasn't about people coming back. It was about a guy who basically had to work as a sign boy for a hot dog joint, but it was in the middle of the zombie apocalypse. So there was, and so I'm eventually going to do this as a short story. Again, that was one of those cases where I worked with a writer, and they did a really good job. But he made it a 12-issue arc, and I needed it to be shorter than 12 issues. And so
12 issues is a lot of storytelling to do.
That is a whole lot of storytelling to do. And it's hard to keep people involved in a single book about that subject matter for that long, when it's, there was a lot of fluff added to it that, I just feel like I didn't feel like I didn't want that fluff in there. So I'm
The
gonna
more
redo
the
it.
more and more that I make comics, the harder it is to. This gets into the sequentials. I've realized how important it is to make every page feel like you're telling story and earning your audience's attention, right? And that means that you can't just drag your feet. And if you are going to be slower in your pace, you have to make it really tactile. You have to really make it hit like a quiet moment that somebody feels. And both of those things are very hard to do. It's very hard to tell story at like a breakneck speed that keeps somebody's attention. And then it's hard to make art that really speaks to somebody and lets them know about a moment. Those are both very difficult things to do. And if you fall anywhere in between those, I feel like you're starting to lose your audience at that point.
Definitely. Yeah.
So do you work a 9 to 5 or are you full-time on comics now?
I work a 9 to 5. I work about 40 to 50 hours at the church. I'm a full-time pastor. And then my goal is to make comics a full-time salary so that I can no longer have to take a salary from the church. So that's my goal.
Oh, that's really neat. So you weren't you'd still work at the church as a pastor. You just the church wouldn't pay you.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Dude, that's dope. I was going to ask you if you wanted to make a full-time business out of making comics. You pretty much just answered that. You do have Luke Stone Studios, though. Do you have plans to grow the studio, bring in other writers, artists, produce?
I'm working on that.
Titles?
Luke Stone Studios used to be for my photography, and I did recording and stuff. And I would do album mastering and stuff like that. So I stopped doing all of that. And, so the studios is kind of no longer existent. But I'm wanting to bring that back with working on original IPs and putting other kind of creators and creative teams together to make that happen. So it's something I've already started. I've been working with a couple of other writers and artists to try to get these creative teams together and put more stories out this year. So
that's really
it's working out pretty good so far.
We're going to talk about that later, you and me. So we've got Global Frequency Studios. So we have other projects that we're helping develop also, and artists and writers that we're incubating. We also have a recording company that we work with that does film and music mixing, like music videos and live performance recordings. So we try and branch out into other media as well, and cultivate different revenue streams. A lot of people are doing synthwave albums now. It's neat to see other people trying to get their feels for other types of entertainment genre. So tell me what happened between you and Terraform Comics. Oh, wait, I got a question. Hey, Sai, what's going on? Sai is up in the chat. Hey, guys, loving the art on this page. That is all Luke Stone right there, Sai, and you know very well because I think you know Luke Stone, right?
So for those of us joining us for the first time or just joining us, because I can't speak apparently either, Aaron is sick and has taken cold medicine. So
Fine.
He's a little, interesting today.
So I want to know what happened between you and Terraform Comics, the former publisher of Hybrids, and your new arrangement with Arrow Comics.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that you saw Silverline and Arrow Comics in that store. That
I did, yeah.
I'm not hallucinating yet? Okay.
Yeah, no, that definitely happened. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. So we had during 2020, I was working with prior to that for a few years, I've been working with a group called Starcross Comics, and Joe Spicer had encouraged me to continue publishing this book, though I was kind of feeling weary about it and wary and exhausted because of I had self-published it prior to that, and it was it was a lot of work that I had a lot of trouble with. You find a lot of creeps in the independent comic industry. People call it like a community. It's not a community. It is an industry. These people are they're trying to make money, and it's an industry, and you can find good people in the industry and you can find some bad people. I had a knack for finding the not so good people in the industry. And so I was just kind of exhausted by that and didn't want to do much with it at all. And then Joe really encouraged me to continue to publish the book. And I slowly did it. I didn't think anyone was really going to be into it. And it turns out that people were. It did quite well with sales. And so I really wanted to try to step things up. We finished up this the first arc in 2020, 2019, 2020. And then, COVID hit and I had a lot of extra time on my hands. So I really started to focus in on getting kind of all of those little pieces, the leveling up things, and kind of lined up for the book. And I realized that, as much as I love those guys, I needed to kind of step out on my own. And as I did that, I talked with a few people who really wanted to be a part of something like that. And, I felt that we had a decent team. And we did. There was a lot there, but then there was some, let's just say, egos got in the way. Okay. And so we'll leave it there. So some egos got in the way. It got kind of complicated to keep doing things the way we were. And we realized the best thing to do was just to pull the plug on what we were doing there with Terraform and kind of do our own thing.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
So when you made the decision to part ways with your previous publisher, what would you advise new creators getting into indie publishing to be aware of so they don't find themselves in a similar situation, other than not letting egos get in the way? Because new creators, that is not going to happen. Their egos are totally going to get in the way. Yeah.
Well, like I said, Starcross, Joe over there, really appreciate that guy. He did a lot of good. So that wasn't a negative situation, really. But really make sure you know who you're working with. Take the advice of people and the warning of people. I had, we had a partner that I had some warning about, but just didn't heed that because I thought that I had a pretty good grasp of who the person was, and it turns out I really didn't. So heed the warnings.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. There's a lot of traditional wisdom out there about business practices in general. And when you're a young creator coming out the box and you think to yourself, oh, I'm going to be revolutionary with the way that I run my business, or I'm going to do it differently and better than the people have come before because I can listen to what they say and find a new way of doing things. It's like, dude, don't try and reinvent the wheel. The advice is the way that it is for a particular reason. Use it, internalize it, and move on, because trying to do things against the grain, against the current, is less important than actually doing the thing you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So either you're going to fight the current to do it your way, or you're going to get the thing done.
Yeah. And that really is the thing. You think, everyone thinks that when they start that publishing company or that group, working with their friends, that they're going to be the next Image. They're going to, Images already exist. We don't need another one. Or they're going to, we had this statement, this catchphrase, we're going to change the landscape of comics. And honestly, it was just baloney. You're not really going to change the landscape of comics with standard practices, and that was what we kind of ran into. We just kept doing the same thing everybody else was doing, and it wasn't changing anything. It was just kind of the same thing. And so
I just want to make waves, man. That's what it's all about, making waves. So as Cy mentioned, the art here looks fantastic.
Thank you.
Between Trash Day, Sons of Gods, Killing Field Volume 1, and now, it seems like you've really punched up the colors. It looks more comic book than previously published material. Some of your stuff earlier was darker, more muted. It had a little bit more hatching. What are you pointing at? There's a face. Hey, happy Jam Jam. What's going on? Is that what you're pointing at? That Jam Jam is here? Welcome to the stream, sir. Are we going to have to repeat the thing about me being stoned on cold meds? All right.
Well, I think you already did that. So
So don't take it the wrong way, but you've obviously improved your skills over the
Oh no, I'm not
course
taking it the
of-
wrong way at all. I've definitely worked on doing that. That's been an intentional process.
So can you then describe that journey a little bit, you know, maybe expound on what it's like developing as a writer and an artist while still continuously putting out content?
Yeah, you know, I think it's important to constantly be evolving in your work, no matter what you do. If you're a writer or an artist, you should always be trying to improve what you're doing. And so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to. I got to a point to where I felt like my writing was pretty good, and that my art needed to reflect better, because I would love to hire someone else to do it, but it's expensive. And so I need to do it myself. And well,
you also can. That's the thing. Like, you can also draw. You're also an artist. It would be a shame to let that side of you spoil on the vine, doing the somewhat easier thing of bringing in someone you may feel more qualified than yourself, so you can focus on the story and the writing.
Very true.
Be a complete person.
Very true.
You know? It's rare. It's rare to see someone who's a writer, a talented writer who can be established, and an artist the same way. There are a few people that I know of off the top of my head, like Unhinged Entertainment. Jason's one of them, that is just, you know, he's got it together. He can do both sides. So being a complete package like that is important.
I've been telling people for a long time that I was the complete package, but you know,
I have a complete package.
I have a complete.
I think we're getting way off track at this.
Oh my
now.
gosh!
The question was legitimate. What is it like seeing your? And this is, you know, probably something Garrett can relate to, because we've had the same thing going on. What's it like putting out work and seeing your old stuff while you're moving forward with your new stuff getting better, looking back going, Jesus, what was I doing? And not getting discouraged.
It is, so here's especially with issue 6. So I got issue 5, I was kind of happy with, because I finished it so close to launch date. But so right now I'm reworking issue 3 right now. That's what these pages are. But I'm also drawing issue 8. And so by the time issue 8 gets out, like, you know, so I've got issue 7 sitting in front of me. There's pages now on that. I'm like, I hate that. God, that sucks, you know? So I seem to be progressing enough to where every time I get back to what I had done before, I hate it. Which is why I'm remastering these older issues before they hit the direct market. Because I don't want to go to the store, pick this up on the shelf and be like, God, I suck. You know, it's difficult to have that balance, because by the time you've worked on finished one issue and it's finally getting out to the people, you're working. So
this isn't even remastering. This is you redrawing.
Yeah. So because
I'm looking at the issue right now and I'm trying to find
these
panels. Yeah. This is not here.
Yeah. So here's what so a remaster. I'll just go through this. So
it's this fight. It's this fight where they're in the I got that page right here.
Yeah, and so you see these pages. These are all the page next to that one. I totally redid that one because I wanted a different feel. I'm trying to make things feel more like how they are now, because these are going to come out monthly now.
You're doing this monthly now?
Yeah, so the books will come out monthly starting in August.
How are you doing monthly? It's 32 pages monthly?
Yeah. I don't know.
You're on more drugs than I am.
Yeah, I live on coffee. I drink probably 6 cups of coffee a day.
Hey, it's the Ace up in the chat. What's up, Mr. Acevedo? It's good to see you.
Up, man?
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. So you can see I'm trying to match the older style a little bit without going too overboard. And then some pages don't change. So
that's the Asian dude who wrestles with trash.
Yeah, Mount Fuji. Yeah, and so you can see this page. You're that's the page where we started with that fight, and then there's a pinup, basically a splash page next to it. And it's not enough, There needs to be more. So
yeah, I did feel in that sequence that there wasn't quite enough of a physical exchange. Like, you tell the story of the fight succinctly, giving us a few panels. You know, that's a great punch, a great kick, and then we move to the next page. But there isn't really enough of a feeling of like mixing it up. And
well, you know, I had to reduce it to 20 pages.
Yep.
And so,
so you cut some of the fight material because, you know, it's just cinematography.
Yeah, you don't have to have it. So
it's fun though. It is fun, especially when it's something worth looking at. It looks like with this, your line work is a lot solid, you know, a lot more solid. Your perspective is good. The dynamic exaggerated angles are nice. I love the motion lines because it really makes it feel like it's, you know, happening. Honestly, that big crunch punch up at the top there, that's a great way to set up that panel progression with the. It
was a lot of fun doing that, and this was before I was working with
so he's putting in a whole page.
with Brian. So Brian Dawson kind of does most of my some of my layouts, some or most of my layouts now, and so he went back in, and so he did the layout for this other page here that's inked, and then I felt like it and then it was going from there into this. Where he's like, "Hey, this would be this pinup would look better if we did that," and I'm like, "Yeah, I agree, it would." But I also felt like it needed something in between, and so I went ahead and I did these 2 pages up today.
Yeah, this pinup is the one that you're talking about here, the one where it's Trash Man. I can never remember.
Chlorine, yeah.
I just call him Trash Man.
Well, yeah, his real name's Clarence, but he doesn't like to go by that, so don't call him
Chlorine,
that.
Right? It's him and Chlorine standing in the hallway. Switch over to the next panel. That's the new pinup that you're putting in. This one, that so that looks much better because this one feels flat. They knocked everybody out in the hallway, but then he's just kind of standing there hulking, and that one feels so much more dynamic. It really feels like you're channeling some of that old fun 90s comics. Like, it feels like the Hulk, which is kind of what he's supposed to be. So we're doing that, and then a lot of the pages are staying the same. We're redoing, you know, a couple of little sequences just to make it feel better. You know, I wanted to do kind of do the layout a little bit different. And then it's going to wind up being 23 pages. And then we're going to put some backup story in the back of it and things like that. So, yeah. I got to say, before I forget, Bone is my favorite character. You do Bone so freaking well.
Bone is a lot of people's favorite character.
He's so well written. He's a lot of fun. Like, he's the perfect blend of comic relief and just sort of frenetic energy. So everybody gets to play off of him. He's a wonderful foil for more serious characters. It seems like you did a really good job creating the dynamics of the team. And we're getting, of course, into the more overall question of, let's talk about the story and setting of Hybrids. Talk about the characters a little. Now, I remember reading this book and recall when you made the initial connection between the Hybrids and the Nephilim. I actually remember reading in this book that I have, between the chapters that are all collected, you have little letters almost, or like prefaces to each issue, where you talk about what happened between the last issue and this issue for you as the writer. And I was saying this to you before, I really appreciate that, because as a writer, it gives me insight into where you're going with the story as far as your process. And I remember when you said, like, I did a lot of, you know, watching videos and talking to people about the Nephilim, and I discovered this thing, and everything just kind of made sense. It feels to me like, you know, originally you hadn't worked out the origin of your super team's powers, but with the addition of that missing piece, all the tumblers just kind of clicked into place, and the story as we know it now unlocked. And I could really tell the difference with the storytelling that came after you introduced the Nephilim idea. It was just like, now everything makes sense. You know, that was fabulous to see. And you know, what you're building now. Tell us more about that, when you made that decision and why.
Yeah, well, it actually was. So I had started the idea for the story many years ago, and it was probably 10 years ago that we made the decision that it was going to be a story about the Nephilim, and it was just a matter of how to do that and how to do it well. It was problematic because I had built this world, and all of the elements of the world, but really hadn't developed the characters yet. And so I wanted to not make it a comic about, just about the Nephilim and, all this weird, like historical folklore mythology stuff. I wanted to have a real, like, human story, something important around it. And it was when I kind of came up with the idea that someone is abducting these new Nephilim creatures. And when I figured out why they would do that, then that's when the story really came alive for me. And so it was able to, I was really able to focus on kind of that building of the team and the characters and what they were going to be going through and experiencing. And so that was really the turning point for me. And
so what else do you think you can tell us about the world that you've created without giving away everything?
Yeah. Well, we're through issue 5 now. You've read Trash Day, and I know, here's the thing. It's everybody's first comic. There's always going to be somebody's first comic, no matter at what point in the process I am. I could be issue 10, 11, 12, and someone's going to pick up number 1 for the first time. And it's going to be, and I don't want to give spoilers away to that, but we find out that the human trafficking element that we talk about in the book is obviously very prominent. But we start to bring in things like, I don't know if you've ever seen Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
One of my favorites. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, we start to bring in things like adrenochrome.
Yeah. The adrenal glands. Yeah. There's a whole thing about adrenochrome out there in the internet. So it's good material to stoke fiction. I like that.
Yeah. And so, we bring that up. We start to, at the end of the killing field, we just finally reveal, like, this is why Azazel's doing what he's doing. And so it's all about this trying to save people that don't know that they need saved. And it's, trying to keep things secret so it doesn't go crazy. And then it's about, these people trying to find normal lives in the midst of some really weird stuff.
So are people going to be nomming on the adrenal glands of hybrids and getting cool powers, or
Yeah. So we revealed in issue 6 that there is a thing called red cape. It's a drug that is, it's adrenaline harvested from the adrenaline gland of a hybrid at max stress. So they're torturing these hybrids and they're
to get
harvesting.
Their powers up.
So to get their stress up, and then they're retrieving their adrenaline, and it's called red cape. And so what we don't know, and this is a spoiler, but you guys can probably figure it out. Not only does it give you the feeling of pure euphoria for a very short amount of time, it gives you the ability of whatever that hybrid's power was. So
you're stealing the power of the gods.
Yeah, you get to test run that power for a little bit. So it's like, so it makes
someone's
you feel
gonna have to come in and drop the don't do that bomb on these guys, because you're not only messing with people, you're messing with that, not only that DNA, like these people are descended from gods. Do you not remember?
Yeah.
We're playing with the power of gods.
Yeah.
Stupid demon.
Well, right?
Yeah. Always ends well.
No. When
a good
demons are
idea.
stealing the power of, angels, like there will be divine ramifications. Let's take a look at the campaign. You want to roll the trailer?
Sure.
Let's see what we got.
In a world where the powers of the ancient Greek gods live on through their ancestors, it is up to an intrepid team of heroes to foil the wicked plots of the Hybrid Engineering Corporation. Armed with new information concerning an ancient weapon fabled to have the power to kill a demon, Rev and the team split up to gather the shards and put an end to Azazel before it is too late. Little do they know, the Game Master is still pulling the strings. New characters, new threats, and tons of plot-driven action await you in The Killing Field Part 2.
Yeah, dude, he already got me. Gave me goosebumps, and that's a good thing. You hit like the right I don't know if it was the musical note mixed with the intonation or whatever, but like when you give me goosebumps, it's a good thing.
Yeah, that's glad to hear that. I mean,
who did your trailer?
I did. Yeah.
Wow. There you go, bro. That's fantastic. So many people like they rely on Red Gaze to develop their trailers, and he does amazing work, no doubt. That's why he's so in demand. But I love seeing someone, you know, come up with a trailer that properly advertises what they want said about their book and doing it themselves. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So you're offering a lot of cool additional material on the campaign. Why don't we load the campaign page? There we go. And talk first about the featured tier, which from looking at all the other tiers is the tier you want. Period. The end. All the other tiers are great. Buy this one.
Yeah, this campaign is actually incorporating it's really 4 books in one campaign. So you can get part 1 and 2 of the Killing Field, which part 2 is going to be, it's 36 pages. It includes a backup story that I think you will find a familiar character in, by the way.
Yes. I'm so excited.
Yeah. So the Hybrids universe is expanding, especially for the final planned arc. There's going to be another arc afterwards, but I don't have it planned yet. So for the final planned arc, we're going massive, and we're incorporating a secret government agency and all kinds of stuff. All the beautiful stuff you love from the '90s comic books and comic books in general. That's what we're putting in there. It is. We are not going to disappoint when it comes to just gratuitous action and stuff. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that, but new characters are coming in to help push the plot and expand the universe even further. And so part of that is a 4-page mini comic that features 3 people who bought in to be a part of the universe. And I
noticed you're not doing that on this campaign.
I can't do that on this campaign.
Too much. It's just too much.
They had one shot to get in before because we're going to have issue 12 done by the end of October. And so we're working ahead and things are getting written now. I can't, those 3 characters are going to be more than backup character. They're going to find themselves in the pages of the main book. So it's really, really cool.
That's totally awesome.
Dan, in case those of you out there don't know, I may have had something to do with one of those 3 characters.
Yes.
You may see someone based on me appearing as either a hero or a villain. I won't tell you which, but
the artist I just saw. He's finishing up here in the next couple days, and so he's doing a fantastic job on the art for me. And then I've got a wonderful colorist that's finishing those up this week. Who will be, and so I'm super excited about that to get out there. So we've got that book. We've got part 1, we got part 2, we've got the remaster of issue 1, and we've got a role-playing game, Quick Play. So I've always wanted, when I was 14 years old, dreaming about making a comic book, dreaming about going to the comic book store and seeing my book on the shelf. The other thing I really wanted was to have a role-playing game that went along with it, because
I have to ask you about the role-playing game because we're giant nerds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone loves tabletop. How did you do that? What is the base for your system? I know this is kind of a quick play a la the quick start guide for Cyberpunk, it feels like, and there are pre-generated characters that you're running with. I got to know more about it. You got to tease this to me.
Yeah, so we will be able to make our own characters in the once the full manual comes out. This is like the tutorial portion of a video game where you're learning the rules. Basically, you're learning the gameplay. It's not super rules heavy. A guy named
Have you play tested it yet?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I can't just break the system.
No, you can't break it. Nick did a really good job of developing it's not rules heavy. So
Which
it's kind of like a Nick Tuckard. Okay. So you may not know him, but he did a fantastic job working on the mechanics, the engine behind the game. And so I had a series of trading cards that I did, and it turns out that since I was 14 years old, I always wanted, what do you say here? 14-year-old Luke dreams. Locker.
Because you're a nerd.
yeah, but I was a big nerd, so
So I didn't even fit in the locker, Mo.
I didn't fit in the locker. I remember in my sixth grade year, I got picked on so much, and then seventh grade, I grew. Like, yeah. So the next year, all of my bullies, I was like, "Hey, you didn't
Hey,
grow.
what's up? Did you
That's
remember
what we're
me?
doing."
It's trash day, mother. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's trash day. Take that, you sucker. All right, so so from the beginning, I had in mind that this would be a role playing game. So I treated the characters, every character I develop, I treat like a character that would have flaws, and they would have powers that are somewhat limited for gameplay, but they would have to level up and those kind of things. And so as I developed those characters, I created these trading cards and put kind of the math on the back, and that math became the basis for all of the mathematics for this universe. Nick was like, "Dude, this is great. This is great information."
Dice?
We're using dice. It's a D20 system, and
D20 multi-polyhedrals for other elements,
Yep.
or straight D20?
Nope.
Okay, so
Yeah, big word there.
multi-polyhedrals.
Thank you for using that.
Well, I mean, it's the Gary Gygax Secrets of the Universe. He sold his soul to Satan.
So
And-
basically, if we're familiar with like 5th edition D&D, this is going to be a relatively easy transition.
Yeah, it's not going to be real difficult for you to jump into. Yeah.
Good. We play a bunch of D&D. Love that system.
Yeah.
Familiar with others too, like 3D6 is good. I don't want to go into that because we will go down the nerd rabbit hole.
Yeah. Don't get me
Are
started.
you going to
on all
make
that
this? You going to make this like a bigger franchised game? Do you have plans to do RPG manuals like the old school hardcover tabletop books? Are you going to put it into like a box with a board and little figures? Is that what
Oh,
you're
yes,
doing,
yes.
Trash Man?
Yeah, the quick play is just the introduction. We're planning to do a full manual later this year where we have the full player's manual, the full DM's manual. We're going to make a DM screen, or GM, has to be GM, Game Master, not Dungeon Master, but the GM screen. We're going to, and then I plan on doing a set where you can have miniatures. I want to do miniatures of the kind of the 4 main characters and some of the NPCs that we're going to do. I have a lot of just really fun plans for it, and so, hopefully we can even develop it into a video game at some point, kind of mobile.
That would be nuts, man.
Yeah.
That'd be
And
so
we're
cool.
we're looking at even doing a card game, a battle card game at some point.
So yeah, Travis says they found the role playing tier. We lost them. Yeah, Travis and we. Wow, I can write and speak. We talk to Travis all the time about some of the stuff that we're working on, and we have to set aside at least 20 minutes of the conversation to just nerd out about RPG stuff that happened 20 years ago. 20-year-old RPG systems that we love to this day. So yeah, we almost went down that hole. I got to say hello to Ichthus. What is up, brother? Welcome to the show. Good to see you. I'm slowly coming down off of my cold medicine buzz. So we got the role-playing game. We've got the remastered original comic, right? And we've got that little add-on supplement featuring new characters that are introduced by you. By the way, I got to give it up to you. You are one creative dude. Working with you to develop a character and the back and forth that we had was very inspiring and refreshing. That I'm like, so yeah, there's definitely a writer out there who can, hit that bar, that's so to speak,
Well, I'm a big kid. Like that's the thing. I love comic books. I love this world. I'm kind of conditioned not to self-promote and tell people that it's awesome. But
yeah, I noticed there's not a whole lot of you out there pimping this book.
Yeah, I try not to, try to tell people that I'm awesome and the book is awesome, they should buy it. But, in reality, this book is awesome and you guys should buy it. Like
But you're a creative dude, and it seems like you just love superheroes and superhero story and stuff. And like, I remember the first time I read the Jim Lee X-Men, it was my introduction at that time to like Psylocke and Gambit and Rogue, and these were X-Men that I'd never really heard of. So it's like, oh my God, look at these new characters. It's so vibrant, and you get hit with them almost instantly. You fall in love with, you know, this new design. I felt like that talking to you just took so quickly to putting new things into your universe and adding that in, incorporating it, making it part of something, so it felt like it had always been there.
That makes a lot of sense to me, though, because apparently you enjoy role-playing games and you enjoy
storytell.
Yeah, and I feel like if you have that background, you know how to just start kind of incorporating new ideas into a story. They go hand in hand.
Yeah. People will say, "Oh, I have writer's block." I don't know what that feels like.
I get writer's block all the time, but it's for actual words on the page. I don't get writer's block for ideas. I get writer's block for how to communicate those ideas. It's infuriating.
Yeah, I can see that. But that's why I have an editor.
Yeah, I know, right? They're very helpful.
Yeah, I'll put the ideas down and then I'll just like stick some dialogue in there, and I know it sucks. You know, I'm like, yeah, that's garbage. You know, no one's gonna like that. That's stupid. And then you know, and then she'll take a look at it and she'll like, yeah, that's kind of sucks. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And
but I see what you're going for. Let's make it better. That's the whole job of an editor. Everyone gets really nervous when we talk about editors because they're like, I don't want someone to see my work and tell me it's bad. Dude, your work is bad. Your work is always going to be bad.
Better to have an editor do that than your audience.
And you're paying them to do it, so it's not like they're going to be a dick to you because you'll just fire them. You know what I mean?
They don't want it to be bad. Yeah, it's like your work is bad, and they don't want it to be bad. I don't mind being edited at all. I actually like it.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I rarely like is to have people that aren't invested in the book give me a review, which is weird. You know, it's like I just paid somebody a lot of money to do that. Yeah.
So other stuff you're adding or offering on the campaign as far as the tiers are concerned. We have a little backup, or I should say the little mini comic. We've got the remaster, which is huge because you're going back and doing what Garrett's doing and, you know, touching up 80% of your material, your previously published material. So it really is I want my stuff to be at the level of what I can do now, and I want that to exist. I don't want to show people the old thing. So I get where you're coming from with that.
And it's so it does.
You got the role-playing game on top of that. So you're really throwing, it feels like, a lot of creative energy into this endeavor. But then what? No, what?
Well, we've got an action figure for this. We're going to do 20 action figures, which is really cool. You can get that in the completist package. So there's the completist perk, which has everything that we offer except for the garments. I'm doing this role playing kit.
How's the cosplay thing working out? How are you feeling about that?
Well, no one has backed it yet, but I thought, you know, I thought it would be fun. You know, people talk about cosplay all the time, and it's like, well, here are some fun characters to cosplay.
Did you get a clothing designer to come in and like consult a little bit, or did you just kind of take the basic designs for Chlorine and Ion and clothingify them?
That's all I did. Yeah.
There are people out there who are like merch mavens. Sai and Shay off Red Valkyrie, their designs on their merch are astonishing. So if you ever wanted to,
I consulted with Shay a bit on that, and you know, I've got the that's part of my graphic design is being able to take, you know, and do the, you know, the all over print stuff and all that kind of stuff. So that's that's what I did. It was it's fun, and hopefully people want it and get it, and then I will be able to see them.
Well, I'm a big
role play as one of my really cool characters.
So I like toys. So I like action figures.
Me too.
Now you also have a backup in your book, right? You've got Rift Riders.
Yeah, that's going to be in the remaster. So there's a backup in both the main issue and then in issue 7, and then also one in issue 1. And so that one is a book that Piper and I are working on. We're kind of co-creating that. She's the primary writer. And then we have another artist by the name of
Martha
Schwartz.
Martha
Yeah.
Schwartz. And I was actually going to ask you about that. She worked on Cthulhu Invades Oz
She did,
with
yeah.
you, and that was Travis Gibbs' project that he put together.
Yeah.
How did you talk Martha into doing Rift Riders? What attracted her to the project?
I don't know.
Did you
wish
just
I
like
knew.
send out a flare? I want an artist, and she came back.
Yeah, I said, hey, I'm looking for somebody to do. I've got this story, and I'm looking for an artist to work with, and it might be really good. I don't know. We'll find out. And she responded that she wanted to be a part of it, and
That's cool.
She penciled it, I inked it, and we had Jason Smith color that thing.
So it was it's Piper's brainchild. You helped develop the script for it. Martha did the art for it. Jason, you said inked it or colored it. Did you ink it?
No, I inked it. So
you inked it.
I had the idea.
Okay.
And so Piper had something that was very similar. It's like, hey, we could mold these together, and we did. And then she wrote it. I had like, hey, this is my basic idea, and I wrote a little. I co-wrote, but she was the primary writer on it. And then Martha penciled, I inked, and Jason Smith colored.
Got it.
And Mo Biggs, I am going to work on a female character.
Put it up. I can't see it. Is there an action figure of the female character available as well for dudes who want to play action figures with their girlfriends or wives?
There will be. I'm going to make it a stretch. Like that's probably going to be my only financial stretch goal that I do. All the other all the stretch goals are all backer based. Yeah, backer based.
I was actually going to ask you about
who's
that
doing
too.
the sculpting for your figs.
A guy named Damien.
Nice.
Yeah.
And is that going to be? Are you guys going to do like resin casts, or are you actually going to like actually go to have like full on like spin casts?
It's resin. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's why we're doing 20. They're going to be hand painted. And so that's what we're working on.
That's
so
awesome, man. I honestly, I love the whole art. I love the whole art toy like scene. Like it's really cool to see somebody actually doing that. Personally, like I think I see a lot of trading cards being put with books. I can't stand trading cards. I think trading cards are the boringest thing. Like
they're cool if you have like a binder where you can collect them and put them, but not a lot of people have like the big sheets of binders unless they're like Magic the Gathering.
Honestly, man, I get having a binder of like Magic cards because you use those to play a game, right?
Well, you don't use the ones in the binder.
But like as a collectible for like a comic or something, man, I feel like it's something that's gonna wind up in your kitchen drawer of junk, and you're never gonna see again.
And it's sad because it's like a piece of the campaign, a piece of the art, and you don't want to just.
On the other hand, you're doing these cool action figures. That's something that I could actually like see, like, yeah, if you got like a cool shelf where you have like,
I don't know if you can see it up there, but he's just got miniatures upon miniatures.
Oh,
I've got miniatures over there. He's got more miniatures around the corner.
Also, you got stuff behind you too.
Oh,
Come
yeah,
on
I
now.
do.
Yeah, I always wanted to add
bigger though.
I always wanted to
We're
add
talking about
stuff like
action
that.
figures.
It's fair, yeah. So why did you decide to put the backup of Rift Riders into the remastered version of Hybrids and not release it as a mini comic and put the mini comic that's a backup, in the new book? Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So I needed something that wasn't universe specific.
Okay.
Why?
Why?
That makes sense. Because most of the backup stories I have now that are Hybrids universe stuff take place after issue 5.
Okay.
And so there's a continuity issue, so I can't have those things in the first 4 books.
Got it.
So I also wanted to introduce new ideas and new stories, and an all ages book like Rift Riders was a perfect idea to do that. Especially it's going to be on the shelves in August in front of people. I want them to be able to pick that up and be able to see another kind of IP or something they can get into. So that's why I chose that. And I've got another IP that I'm going to put in another in a future issue. And I'm even looking for, even friends that may have a short story or something that they want to feature in one of those books to get that out to a larger audience.
Cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. So it's all about, kind of sharing that out and helping everybody else.
Making creator connections so that we can continue to create stories together so that the community does become more of an industry. Because I noticed, like, you made the distinction there that yes, people like to say community, but it is an industry, it is a business. We are creating things and selling them for money. And it's cool to have friends that buy each other's books, but it's even more cool when those friends sell books together to people they don't know yet.
Yeah.
Like
that's my favorite part, is selling books to people that I don't know, and then them coming back and telling me how much they like them.
And then also wanting to get involved if they themselves are creators, which then lets you compound interest. It's like you sold them the book. They invested in the book, right? They invested in the campaign, got the book. Then they come to you, and not only did you get to sell a book, you got a creator that's coming to you that wants to make stuff, so you'll sell new stuff together. I think that's just an incredibly lucrative business model, if you know what I mean. Getting recruits and financial remuneration at the same time.
Yeah.
Mo says Steve is low-key hilarious, not in the sense that Luke is, where even I can't pick up on the humor in his jokes, but he's underappreciated for sure. Mo Biggs, man.
I love that guy.
Yeah. Oh boy. So we only got a little bit more time here. Where are we at on the campaign right now? Did we ever look at that? Right?
We're at like 52 backers. We are getting close.
52 backers. You could do a refresh if you want.
Yeah, we need.
I put it up before.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, we need 32 to fund this thing. I mean, it's a flex goal, so we're going to do it no matter what.
Did you get
we'll just scale back our efforts.
Okay, cool. So people do watch this show. That's good to know. Yeah, I would like to see some of the stretch goals get hit, but I'm already pretty excited for what's just being offered on the campaign. As an experienced comic book creator and crowdfunder, what advice do you have for noobs?
Well, I mean, that's so general, because it really depends.
Do you want me to be more specific?
Yeah, if you want to be, yeah.
Okay, sure. As a comic book creator, what advice do you have for an individual looking to develop their own story and prepare it for crowdfunding?
Research. Definitely do your homework. Find out if that is even selling, if people are even interested in that. That's where I messed up with the whole worst day ever, the rom-zom-com. Zombies were really hot at the time, but by the time my book came out, people were zombied out, and it was too different. People just associated it. They thought it was a horror, and they didn't realize it was a comedy. And so know what you've got. And then just do it. like Shia LaBeouf says, just do it.
Stop talking about it.
Stop talking about it. Yeah. Just do it. You've got to get it done. You've got to get some art on paper. You've got to get words to it. You've got to get it printed. You've got to get it in somebody's hand. It doesn't matter if it's perfect.
Yeah. Regardless of whether or not you're the artist or the writer, you're going to have to take that plunge and get the project underway. So if you're the writer, that means finishing your script, finding an artist. If that means you're the artist, that means developing the art, finding someone to do your dialogue and help you with your story.
Yeah.
Mo Biggs says it also doesn't hurt to be funny before writing a comedy book.
True.
Dude, Mo, if you were playing basketball
I didn't write
right now, just the dunks don't stop. Steve Worcester says, if you guys want to make larger quantities, I can print you up to 100 of those PLA plastic for a very fair price. Steve is offering Luke to help print you some more figures. That's a really generous
Find
offer.
me on Twitter and let's make contact, and we'll see about doing that.
That part wasn't a low-key joke that only Mo got. I really do have the 3D setup. Yes, Steve, you do. And that's super cool that people are helping each other, making stuff and, getting out there more.
I remember the first time I was on a stream and I experienced Mo Biggs. I was like, man, this guy is he's so mean to people.
Too much. I love him.
I was like, he's so mean to people. And then I realized I have a few more streams because just took me a minute.
Bro. Just don't break kayfabe, okay? And so once you've got that book pretty much made, or at least underway to being made, you've decided to just do it. What would you suggest people do looking into crowdfunding that book? Is there a way that they should go about developing their campaign, people that they should talk to about designing it, anywhere they should go to promote it?
They should definitely talk to people who have crowdfunded successfully and listen to them. I have so many people will ask me questions and ask for advice, and then they won't listen to it. They won't take it. They think somehow they've got it figured out and, they know what to do. It's like, yeah, never mind the 16 campaigns I've ran myself and the, the other 10 that I've been a part of successfully over the course of my short indie career. I don't know anything, right? So if you're, ask advice and then listen to it. I remember my most successful campaign. I had not been very successful at all. Okay. If I actually dislike it.
I think of much meaner jokes, but I wouldn't be here to say them. Man. God damn it.
I love this guy, man. He's probably one of my favorites in the chats. Whenever I see Mo Biggs, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a wild ride.
That's the thing. Like Steve said, it's not a real stream unless you got Mo either wrenched or heckling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was saying, I don't remember what I was saying now.
You were saying about advice for crowdfunding.
Take the advice. So Travis hooked me up with some advice last year because I was running my I'd just finished issue 5. I was running a campaign and I was expecting to make, I was hoping to make like $700-800. And Travis was like, dude, you can make so much more than that. And you should be. And he gave me so much advice on how to build the campaign and how to promote the campaign. And he had ran successful campaigns. So I took all of his advice. That wound up, making like $3,000, which was $3,000 and $3,500 more than I'd ever made. So it was kind of a game changer for me, as a creator.
You hear that, Travis? You're getting the shout out here. Travis Gibb, mentor of crowdfunders. Also, I gotta say real quick, hail Noah! NTM up in the chat. What's up? Good to see you. Thanks for dropping by, Noah. So listen to people's advice. Listen to Travis. Listen to other people. Approach people who've done it. That's a great thing about this community. We're all indie. Even people from the supposed mainstream who've filtered in. It's like you said, an industry where we're all seeking to improve and develop and produce our own work. It is not like it is a tiny little pond. The ocean is infinite. We just have to figure out a way that we can all swim in it and bring it to us so that we can.
Yeah, there's money to be had out there. Yeah. Obviously, some people are making quite a bit of it, and I'd like to make a little more of it. But
I just want to make cool shit people want to read. Excuse my language.
But I would also like to do this for a living. So a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Not a lot more, but a little bit more.
You would like to be able to have it as a consistent revenue stream where you don't have to charge, or make money. We don't have to charge people for what you do elsewhere.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you can still do the other stuff that you love, but comic books takes up more of your time if you're doing it more professionally. So you're more active within the medium. So we don't have too much more time. I just want to ask you, since we already linked all your social media and stuff in the description below, how should people go about finding you in the world that is
the easiest way to find me is to go to lukestonestudios.com. And I kind of use that as a hub for all of my my YouTube, my social media accounts and all that kind of stuff. So that's a good place to go to find me. Probably the best place to go to find me.
Cool. Is that the best way to message you too?
It is the best way to message me. If you go there, because I'll get that email directly.
Awesome.
Either that or Twitter. I don't tend to take a lot of message requests on Facebook.
People still use Facebook?
Yeah. Yeah.
I like how you said that you're surprised about that. You've never been on Facebook. You have no idea what's going on there. You're just like, people are still,
I've never used it myself. People still use it?
They do. They do. Yeah. I find it's a good place to make some connections with finding artists and stuff, and some of the groups I like, but
Frequency Girl is in charge of the Facebook wing or arm of our social media outreach. I'm in charge of shit posting on Twitter.
Yeah.
So
I like that. That's
Yeah.
fun though.
Yeah, I
um,
was not good at it. So like when I was running the Twitter, we had like 20 followers and made like a tweet.
I have done a good job
week.
losing us followers online.
So, and then I'm like, I don't have the quick-witted response.
We should just go hire Mo
meme
Biggs.
knowledge. And
I
then somebody
haven't-
used Aaron, and a week later, like blew up.
I haven't lost any followers yet because of saying something offensive that I know of.
Yeah, I don't know if it's I don't say enough offensive things. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
Twitter's
And maybe
Twitter.
maybe I'm just not doing it right. then.
Quit, go unsub to Luke Stone so we can cost him more people following him on Twitter. That'd be fun.
No.
All
That'd
right.
be great.
So I think that is everything from us today. You have anything else you want to say to the people out there on the internet?
Please back my project. We've got a long way to go here. I'm really passionate about it. We've got a lot of great feedback with it. I think that you'll like it. If you are worried about taking a chance on it,
Don't be, dude. I've read the first one and it looks horrible compared to this one. This one's going to be great. It's got a role-playing game. It's got backups. There's a story in there featuring me. If you aren't going to read that, then why are you even watching the stream? All right.
But I was going to say, if you're worried about taking a chance, then message me and I will send you a couple of PDFs, issue 1 and issue 2, so that you can check
Hell
that
yeah.
out and
That's
have a
super
little
dope.
more,
Yeah.
a little more confidence in.
That's really cool that you
sending
engage with the audience to that degree, where you're willing to like put something into their hands that they don't already have, so that you can ease their or assuage their fears that there's a reason to invest in. Also, it is flexible. I don't care if you go back this campaign because I'm going to get all the stuff that I've already backed, but it'd be nice to put more money in his hands so he can do more cool stuff that I can buy later.
Yeah, and I will say this: it's a flex goal, and so if it meets that goal, we'll go into in demand. If we go into in demand, we're only going to go there for a few weeks, and as soon as we start going into fulfillment, then we will close that campaign.
Right. You also want to start going monthly with your other stuff, and it's kind of hard to keep something in demand while the monthly stuff is coming out.
It really is, yeah. And we're not gonna extend this. So when it says that it's 28 days, it's 28 days.
All right, people, go get the thing.
Yeah,
There's a link in the chat. Both Frog G and Mo Biggs, if he's feeling like he wants to drop your link, have dropped the link. I think it's pinned at the top too.
It is.
And
it's also in the description.
Thank you very much, Frequency Girl.
And on our link tree.
Oh, and on our link tree currently, yeah, because we do that. We put your links in the link tree if you've been on the show while your campaign is active. So I guess that's everything for us today. Frog G says limited edition covers, RPG, great story. Why haven't you backed this yet? Hop on it.
Right.
That is Frog G's puns for the win. Mo Biggs actually did drop your book, so he was feeling generous.
Thank you, Mo Biggs.
That's very kind of you, Mo.
I will retract my previous statement of crack is whack.
Really? You heard it here, folks. Crack is not whack. Hashtag crackback every day. Bow. That's it for us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications.
Tune into the frequency, I guess.
Maybe. We'll see you next time.